Alright, welcome to the quick start guide for simple linear quests. This should get you up and running and creating quests pretty quick. So first thing to do, this is Unreal Engine 5.5. I'm just going to create a starter third person project. Just give it a name, no starter content, hit create. Next thing you'll want to do is just in your library find simple linear quests. And once the project is ready, you'll just hit add to project. Find your project, hit add to project, and overwrite if fab asks. Close that, and close that. And you should have simple linear quests right here. The easiest way to get just up and going if you don't have any custom content you need to use is to just come into the demo folder, third person blueprints, and set the default pawn in your game mode to that third person character. And if you hit play, it's using the demo quests, it's got the components all set up, and then all you would have to do is just add the objectives or edit the demo table. But obviously very few people will want to do that, so I'll show you how to set everything up using custom quests and a custom character. So I'll just switch back to the default third person character that comes with the template. So now if I hit play, nothing's there. And in here, we'll open him up. And back in the content folder, let's create a new data table for our custom quests. And the struct is called s underscore quests. Click OK, give this a name. Open it up. So I'll add my first row. The row name is the quest name. So I'll just name it Getting Started with an underscore, which will be replaced with a space. And I'll give it a quest description. Get started with questing. Previous quest is none. This will be the first quest, and I'll just give it an objective called collect 1 cube. So the quantity will be 1 for that objective, and the description will be run into a cube. And the next quest, we'll add a new row. Just call it second quest. So for getting started, the next quest will be second quest. And we'll just give this an icon. So second quest, the description will be need more shapes. Previous quest is getting started. And we'll give it an objective called collect 2 spheres. Set that to 2. Set all that info. And then the last quest will just be called final. The description will be all finished. Okay, and we'll save that. Alright, so back in the default third person that comes with the template, first thing to do, get an event begin play. If it already exists, we can just build off of that, but it does not exist in this one. So grab an event begin play, and then we'll add the actor component player quest manager here. And over here, where the quest data table is, we will set that to our data table tutorial quests. We'll grab that. Initialize quest component. So the start quest will be getting started. Okay, awesome. So the quest component is up and running. Now you'll notice in the component there's a few events that you can bind to, a few delegates. So on quest updated, on quest completed, and on matching objective found. So to get HUD working, if you have a custom HUD widget, you can bind to those events to update your HUD. If you want to get the demo one working and then build off of that, I will show you how to do that. So first things first, let's create a new Blueprint class, and all classes we will inherit from HUD. Just give that a name, set that as my HUD class, and in here, in the event graph, what we're going to do is on event begin play, we will get player quest component. That comes from the Blueprint function library that comes with simple linear quests. So we'll just promote that to a variable and save it as the player quest component so we can reference it later. The next thing to do is create a widget, and the class will be widget blueprint, so WBP demo HUD, and the owning player, just get player controller. Plug that in. Now off of here, we need to set the values. Since we're using a custom data table, I'll just set it here as well instead of getting the variable from the component. So we'll set that. Let me grab the player quest component, and we're just going to get a few variables. So the first thing we need is the active quest. So we'll say get active quest. Plug that in. Get current objective. Plug that into the active objective. And then get current objective counter. Plug that into the counter. And the icon isn't stored in the component. We need to get that from the data table. So right here we'll just say get data table row. We'll set the data table to the tutorial quest data table, and we can manually choose getting started, which will work in case it's not initialized, or we could plug active quest in, but I'll just do that and hit break that struct and plug the quest icon in there and hide those. Okay, awesome. The last few things to do, we'll just take the widget and add to viewport. Connect that up. Awesome. So with that, if you hit play, you'll see it's showing up, but it's not working exactly correct. So what's happening is the delay in initialization. So all we need to do here is before setting the values, just add a small delay. So 0.2 seconds, yeah, that's fine. We could probably even get away with 0.1. So, oops. Getting started. Okay, awesome. We'll hit play, and there we go. That issue is usually because the HUD is initialized before the pawn. So we'll just add a small delay so the pawn initializes, and then the variables can get set to the HUD. Now obviously that's just setting the initial state. So what we need to do is bind the events from the player quest component. The easiest way to do this, we're just going to create a new function called update HUD. And in here we are going to, we need to first store a reference to our HUD. So we'll drag this out, promote to variable, and we'll call this quest HUD. Okay, awesome. Now back in here, take quest HUD, and we will set values. Whoop, double clicked on accident. Okay, so set values. Now we'll take the player quest component, and we can really just copy and paste what we did here. So I'm just going to grab this stuff, copy, paste it in here. So what we'll do, plug the quest icon in, clean this up a little bit. Okay. So active quests, current objective. We can plug active quests in here. Oh my gosh. And do that. plug everything up. So quest data table will always be the same, so we can just set it to the same, tutorial quests. Now this function, when it's called, will just get the active quests, objectives, counters, and icons for the current quest and update the HUD to match. So whenever the component updates, it'll do this. But first we need to bind that. So back in our event graph, at the end of the begin play here, I'll just drag another player quest component, assign on quest completed, assign on quest updated, and assign on matching objective found. So what this does is it'll just take the events that fire in the player quest component when a quest is completed, updated, or a matching objective is found. These are separated so that if you're using a custom HUD, you can kind of have some more control over what elements of the HUD are updated. But for the demo HUD, it's pretty simple, so we're just going to use the same event for all three. So each time any of these are fired, we need to connect these up to begin play. So on initialization, these events are bound. So anytime this event is fired in the player quest component, this event will fire in the HUD. So you'll see these event delegates have parameters that you can use if you're using a custom HUD. Since our HUD is really simple, it's the demo included HUD, we're just going to take the function we made called update HUD, and we're just going to call that for all of these events. So we'll just connect those events up. That'll update our HUD every time an event is updated in the player quest component. So now if we hit play, you'll see current objective, collect one cube, run into a cube. So if I run into that cube, nothing happens. So next, the last thing we need to do is just set up objectives. Okay, so the easiest way to get objectives working is to, if you go into the simple linear quest demo files under blueprints, there's a BP base item. So if we open this up, we can see all it's doing. So in here, we have two objectives, quests and objectives, and should delete on objective update. So quests and objectives is an array of quest names and objectives. And then should delete on objective update is a Boolean that we can set to true or false. If it's true, when the corresponding objective is updated, this item will delete. So if we look at the code for the base item that comes with the kit, all it's doing is checking for the player component to overlap with it. If it is the player, then we get the player quest component and update the current quest and pass in the array that we define. And then event destroy item is called when the quest component finds a matching objective. And if it's true, we destroy this actor. So if you have custom items, all you have to do to get them working is to create these variables and pass them into update current quest. So I will show you how to do that right now. So if we come back to our content folder, we'll just create a new blueprint class, actor. We'll just call it BP cube. Let's call it BP quest item. Oops. Quest item. Okay, and then in here, we'll add a cube. Just drag that up. Okay, and then we'll create a few variables. So call this quests and objectives. It is an struct of objectives. It's an array. Double check that. Yep. Okay. And then delete on objective update is just a Boolean, a single Boolean. Okay. Boom. So now, if all you want is basic interaction, this update current quest can be called whenever. So if it's in a dialog, you can get the player quest component and update current quest and manually pass in what you want to update for dialog. For this, it's a simple example, so we're just going to have it update when the player overlaps with it if it's the current objective. So this logic, what we can do is just, we'll move it over to our custom. Just delete these. Oh. Okay, and then we'll plug this one in. So again, I could manually just recreate these, but since we're doing the same logic, we'll just copy and paste them. We're just going to check if the overlapping actor is the player. If it is, then we're going to update the player quest component by passing in the quests and objectives. And then if the... Oh, here. The last thing to do, we need to implement the basic interaction interface. So in this, we'll just click on the base, search for... Oh, that's right, we go to class settings, search for interface, implemented interface. BPI basic interaction is the one that comes with the simple linear quests. So event destroy item is what is used to destroy items. So we'll just plug that in. This logic's pretty simple, so yeah, we check if it's the player. If it is, we update the current quest. So, and then if the delete on objective update is true, it'll destroy this actor. So now, oh. We just need to swap out the overlap. Yeah, we don't need that branch. So on begin overlap with the cube, if it's the player pawn, then we update. So we've got our base class for our quest items. So we'll drag one into the world, and if we go to the details panel, we need to make these public and editable. So if we select them, make sure they're instance editable. So then we'll compile, save, come back here, and we find those variables in the details. Something that'll make it a little easier is if we put them in a category. So we'll say quests. There we go. So we've got our variables, categories organized here. So for this one, we're going to add an objective, and we're going to refer back to the tutorial quests here. So I'm just going to drag that off. These are the ones we defined earlier. So getting started has an objective called collect 1 cube. So I'll just copy that objective name. And the objective quantity is how much this will update the objective by. So let's say in our second quest we have the quantity set to 2. If I set this to 2 here, that will update the quest quantity by 2. So you would only need to collect 1. But for this one, it's obviously just 1. So we'll hit 1. We don't need the description for this. And then delete on objective update, we'll hit true. Then we'll save, and if we hit play, it's not working. So if we come back into our base item, what I'm going to do is cheat a little bit. I'm just going to add a sphere collision. Bring that up, increase the radius a little bit. And that'll just be our overlap sphere. So come in here, scroll down to the events, and say on begin overlap for the sphere. And the other actor is the player, and we'll update. Okay, awesome. Boom. There you go. You'll see when we hit the objective, it updated the current quest and the HUD updated as well. So we're on our second quest with the current objective, collect 2 spheres. So now, if we want to not recreate all that, since we created a base class, we can just duplicate this. Actually, just do this. We'll come in here. We'll change the cube to a sphere. Oh, nice. Yeah, there we go. Just scale it up a little bit. Scale this down a little bit. There we go. So then in this item, all we need to do is change the objective names. This one was collect 2 spheres, so put that objective name in there, and we want it to update by 1, and we'll duplicate this guy. So now there's 2 spheres. So if we come here, we'll collect 1 cube, the quest will update, and if we come here, we'll collect 1. See the progress will update, and boom. There we go. We hit the final quest in our data table. And let's say, for example, I wanted this cube to update the progress by 2. So all we have to do is change that. We'll hit play, grab the first quest, and boom, grab the second quest. It updated by 2. And we'll change that back to 1. And there you go. That's how you get the HUD working. That's how you get basic quests and objectives working using custom data tables, a custom HUD class, and a custom base item class. Again, the base item class, called it quest item. The real stuff that's going on here is this update current quest. So you can call this anywhere. So right now we're just calling it on overlap, right? But you could call it on a button press. You could call it during dialogue. Any events you want, you can just call get player quest component, and then from there you just update current quest and pass in your objectives and quests. And if you don't have the variable, so let's say you're in an NPC and you just want to do it manually, you pass in a reference and you don't have the variable, so you can just, oops, we can just make an array and we'll just make an objective. So then you can manually set it in dialog if you wanted to update a specific objective, by how much. That way you don't need a variable. But that's pretty much how you get objectives working. That's how you get the custom HUD working using these events. You just bind, update the demo HUD. It's just a widget. It'll just get the current active quests, objectives, counters, and it'll set those values in the HUD. We just bind those on the events that update. And all we have to do to initialize is make sure your data table is set, initialize quest component with the starting quest. And for the HUD, it's good to add on initialization just a small delay so that it has time to populate those variables before it tries to set the HUD values. So that should be everything to get you going. Here we've got some basic quests. We're able to run around, update the objectives when we hit the quest items. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out, but that should do it.